My name's Oli France. I am an expedition leader and adventurer specialising in guiding teams through some of the world's wildest places. I am on a mission to complete the Ultimate 7 project. This is my biggest ever challenge, my piece de resistance, the hardest conceivable adventure project I could take on. From the lowest point in each continent to the highest, entirely by human power. It is a multi-year project which will take me across the entire globe, through all 7 continents and across every imaginable landscape. I will cycle, I will ski, I will go on foot, and I will even row to complete this challenge. No human has ever even attempted this project before. Could I succeed? I really had no idea, but now it was time to find out.
We're going to get on an expressway. Let's see. But effectively, I am now on the motorway in Ethiopia on my bike. How good is this?
After so many years of thinking about the Ultimate 7 project, I decided to make a start, and I wanted to start in Africa. This is a continent where I've spent a year of my life. I knew I needed an extra layer of protection. So I enlisted a local driver who would be my support driver. He would add an extra layer of security. He would help protect me on those busy, chaotic roads filled with trucks. He'd also help me out if I did face hostility.
Here we go, La Castle sign. La Castle in the background. And there is Lubac, my amazing support driver who's going to be helping me out.
My journey would begin in Djibouti. The lowest point in the continent is a place called La Castle, which sits below sea level. It is a salt lake, it is very arid, it's inhospitable, it's extremely hot, and there's very little reason to go there unless you're doing a journey like mine.
So it looks like the sun is just about to rise, just over my left shoulder there. You can see it peering over the horizon. And so that means the temperature is about to rise. And it's going to rise fast and it's going to rise high.
I remember heading out there early in the morning, just a few days since arriving from England, feeling the intensity of the heat. And I was there just before sunrise. Already there's baking temperatures, but I've got to get on my bike and start cycling.
So I've been going for about an hour or so, trying not to check the time because it would be not healthy, I don't think. So straight out of the lake, there's a lot of climbing. Of course, you're going from the lowest point, and as you can see, the sun has now risen, so the temperature is increasing. One slightly pleasant thing is the wind. As you can see, lots of wind turbines around me. But yeah, I mean, every time you open your mouth just dries out. It's that hot. And so no amount of water can replenish it. So what I'm trying to do is just not overexert myself too much. Just steady, steady, keep ticking over. Try not to bring up the heart rate too much. And hopefully that way I can mitigate the heat slightly.
As I head south towards the Ethiopian border, the sun rises and the temperatures get hotter and hotter and hotter, and there are trucks coming past and there's dust in my face, and I'm going up steep hills and I'm sweating, and my body's covered in salt and dust and grime, and I cannot drink enough water. Now it reaches 45 degrees.
Super hot. Yeah, tough going. My main concern is just regulating my body temperature.
This is an alien landscape. There is no reason for humans to be here. It is brutal, absolutely brutal. And this is day 1 of a multi-year, world-first endeavor.
That heat is just relentless. It is all-consuming and inescapable. So yeah, tough going. I always knew this first day was going to be very tough. Yeah, this heat, it's right on the limits of what's safe, I think.
What have I done? What am I doing here? Is it even possible?
Oh, it feels good to be going downhill. A lot of climbing over the last couple of hours. I'm now up about 750 meters above sea level. Marginally cooler. But that means I've climbed about 1,000 meters, probably more because there's been ups and downs from La Casale. So now we have a short break at least and go from there. You're in Ali Sabai, an little hotel restaurant place, and then make a decision. Either stay here the night or head over to the border. See how I feel. It's nice to take a break though. 6 hours on the bike.
It was one of the hardest days I've ever had on a bike. When the human body temperature is around 37 degrees, cycling in temperatures of 45, you simply cannot cool your body down. So I needed to have regular breaks, I needed to be drinking as much water as possible, and most of all, getting myself to the Ethiopian border where I had some relatively cool temperatures.
Right, after the crazy heat yesterday, almost unbelievably, there was a thunderstorm this morning, which honestly is a blessing. Very happy about that. So, gonna head off for the border. You all good, Lubak? Lubak's gonna escort me to the border, and from there into Ethiopia. Gotta love the rain. Ah, beautiful. What a start to the day. A few people wandering about, probably marveling at this rare rain. Onto the border.
As I'm cycling through Djibouti and into Ethiopia, I start to see these people just wandering along the road, and often with no possessions, often with bare feet, often even without water, in this incredibly inhospitable, arid environment. And they're walking towards the coast at the Red Sea, trying to find their way out of whatever horrible situation they found themselves in. One of the harshest environments I've ever encountered. And there they are with almost nothing out there in the wilderness. It recontextualized everything for me. I thought I was suffering. I had no right to complain. I had no right to say I was suffering. I chose to be there. They didn't. I could only feel this admiration for what it is that they were doing.
Okay, we're now approaching the border crossing. So let's hope the crossing goes smoothly. Had more than my fair share of problems at border crossings over the years, so see how it goes, huh? Right, so I made it into Ethiopia. It took maybe an hour and a half of the border crossing. So onwards, 37k to the small town of Aisha, and then we go from there. So the first 15 miles or so have been really all downhill, and as you can see now in flat desert, it's some mountains way off in the distance. Got termite mounds, camels. Temperature's not too bad, there's some cloud cover. So I'm glad for the early start.
I'm up into the hills. This feels like familiar territory. And the villages and the towns that I'm passing through are electric. They are filled with people.
Salam. Hi.
Everywhere I look, there are people saying hi, shouting at me, chasing me. There are children everywhere.
Okay, just going through a little village. There we go, got some company.
And the rains start to come. I was cycling through this rainstorm. Everybody else had vanished into their houses.
And interestingly, all the cars seem to have cleared the roads. Maybe that's a warning sign. Maybe I should sit this out for a few minutes.
But there was this group of children on the roadside.
Say hello.
Hello.
À come ici.
And they've all come to marvel at what we're up to.
Hey. As soon as they saw my bike, they started sprinting up the road to catch me. And they were running beside me and we were speaking in English.
The future Ethiopia running team here.
This is just what I've been craving. The refreshment of the rains out of the sky, the green, vibrant colours, the fresh fruit on the roadside, the amazing interactions that I'm having. This is my experience of Africa, and this is exactly why I've come to this part of the world.
You're too fast. You're too fast.
One, two, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8,
1, 2, 3, 4,
5,
6,
7,
8,
9,
10,
11.
12. Very good. Very good.
Very good.
Thanks, brother. Thanks, brother. Thank you.
We should be judged in life not by how we respond during the good times, but how we respond during the bad. And those children dancing and singing in this thunderstorm just said it all to me. They were living for the moment, and so was I as I was passing by them.
You good? Hi. It's an amazing landscape.
Traveling by bike is special. It's a really interesting way to travel because you're at such a pace where the landscape changes, but it's enough time to really take in your surroundings.
So we're just stopping for a bit of a picture here with the amazing Ethiopian highlands in the background. And it's about 10k left down to the little town of Herna that we're going to stop in tonight. All downhill from here. Weather stopped. Views are amazing, and we've got some friends here. We've got some friends here who are intrigued in what we're doing.
And it seems like I wasn't the only one.
And another local cyclist.
I came across dozens of cyclists, all on their own journeys, often with handmade bikes or colourfully decorated bikes, and we'd have these little races and we'd cycle together.
There we go, got some company. Nice. I love your bike.
Cycling on two wheels is an international language, I think, and often if I wasn't able to communicate, we could ride together for a section, and it just made those bits of the journey all the more special.
Yeah, we say thank
Okay.
you.
Thank
Say
you.
to them Galatoma.
Galatoma. Galatoma. Galatoma. Thank you, Galatoma. Hey. Hey. Hey.
In Africa, the cycle had been the big unknown. I really didn't know if it was going to be possible, if I could make it through those roads and survive the weather conditions and survive all of those interactions.
The landscape has completely changed now. We're down from the forested highlands and into what feels more like real African savanna. Hi, how are you? How are you?
This is a huge continent and I'm just a tiny speck traveling through it, observing and feeling and loving every moment of it.
Our main company, the camels. So the intensity of the heat has come back. So just keeping it steady.
It's hard and it's brutal at times for sure, but how lucky am I to be here?
Another day done.
I saw huge gangs of baboons. If you can catch yourself amongst them, it's almost like catching yourself in a herd of sheep. You know, these animals are just all over the road, all over the way in front of you. But actually, I never felt in danger. I've seen baboons in other places kind of almost attack people and take food out of their hands and rummage in people's rucksacks. Very inventive, very opportunistic animals, I would say. I didn't have any dangers, but actually seeing them out in their natural habitat, yeah, that was really cool. I remember looking in front of me on the road and there's just this small shape which looked out of place.
Well, look what we've just come across.
It was a small tortoise crossing the road in front of me.
I'm going to do a rescue mission.
It's middle of the road, you've got big trucks flying past. I think I need to help this little guy. Picked him up, he sort of tucked himself into his shell, and a good size to him really, and he was just out there, you know, crossing the road. So I picked him up, gave him a helping hand out into the bushes.
Oh, look at this little fella.
All right, let's get you off the road, little man. Look at this guy. He's hiding there. Careful on this road, buddy.
And off he went, but that was a special experience. There were a few tense moments there actually, and one of the big warnings I had in northern Ethiopia in particular was that there are terrorist groups active in the area.
I've just seen a flag planted in the desert, which I think is the flag of a terrorist organisation.
I remember seeing that and suddenly feeling really quite vulnerable. And I really had to think carefully now about, okay, am I in a dangerous place? Am I taking a risk here? And thinking about, okay, I probably need to get out of this region pretty quick.
That's a bit concerning because there are warnings about this area. Need to keep my head down and move on.
Probably the most frightening moment was cycling down a steep hill on my bike, going very fast, and a guy emerged from the bushes on the roadside with a large curved knife, and he held it like this, and as I was cycling past, I thought he was going to try and hack me down. Just as I went past him, he just kind of smirked as though it was a joke, but I've got to say, my heart was absolutely racing at that time.
Hi. That town in the distance there on the horizon is Moyale. That's the town that marks the border between Ethiopia and Kenya. And this feels like a major milestone right now. Ethiopia has thrown everything it can at me. Literally sometimes. But I finally made it. And now, 10 days in, I've almost ridden 1,000 miles. Hi. Okay, we're just here, about to leave.
Yeah.
About to say bye
Thank
to
you
Alex.
for
We have been spent together.
Yeah, it's
Very
been
good
great.
time. I'm proud of you.
Yeah,
One more.
pleasure.
Yeah.
And Alex has
Thank
looked
you.
after me, so
Yeah.
anyone needs a guy in Ethiopia, Alex is
here.
your man. Alex is your man, and I'll put his details below.
Thank you very much.
10 days into my journey, I've cycled about 1,000 miles almost, and now it really feels already like I'm on the home straight. It doesn't mean I can relax, but I'm here in Kenya, getting a SIM card, getting some cash, getting some food, and then onwards into Kenya.
In Ethiopia and Djibouti, because of the security challenges around water and around potential hostility, I had support vehicles. As soon as I hit the Kenya border, now I'm out there on my own. I've got to be fully self-sufficient. I'm entering a place where you've got lions and you've got wild animals, and again, the dangers of actually camping out in the wilderness there just felt too high, so I could not afford to be out in the wilderness. There is very little in the way of civilization, and it's over 150 miles to get to the next town through the desert, where I've been told that there are militia groups and bandits active in that area. So for me, I can't afford to be cycling at night, and I know I need to push really hard.
So when I was planning this part of the trip, there were some security warnings about this part of northern Kenya. Talk of bandits on the roads. I've consulted various people, Kenya Wildlife Service, some local people who are well connected. They've suggested that all is okay now. So I've decided to take their word for it and push on through. It's really the first 150 miles. Okay, just stopping for my first break of the day. I'm going to do another block until the next break of about 35 to 40 miles. That should bring me to a small village. And that really is the last point. So today it's either 75 miles or 150. There's nothing in between.
You've got to be making good decisions. You've got to be really trusting yourself. You've got to not take any unnecessary risks, because if you do in a landscape like that, you're going to find yourself in huge problems.
Nice, nice. Okay, thank you. Bye-bye.
As I continued south into Kenya, now I'm entering what's known as the Rift Valley area of Africa. This is an area filled with lakes, with volcanoes, with huge expanses of savanna, with all kinds of African wildlife.
So I'm scanning the bushes, and it's one of the few times here in Africa I've hoped not to see a lion in the wild. So it's definitely motivated me to cycle that bit faster today. Couple of ostriches. So I feel refueled, replenished. So it's time to go again. By my calculations, all going well. Should be just 4 days of cycling left to reach Kilimanjaro. I'm just gearing up for day 17. Tanzania border is literally 100 meters away, so I was all set to go. Noticed that my tyre is flat. Slight delay this morning. Changed the puncture and then hit the road into Tanzania. Look at these roads! Wow, amazing! Jumbo!
After 18 days, finally I'm on the final climb, now up the flanks of Kilimanjaro, passing through banana plantations and coffee plantations and twisting, winding roads, and the road gets steeper and steeper and the mountains up above me. As I finally got towards Kilimanjaro, finally I saw this huge mountain on the horizon, unmissable, unmistakable. Now I'm seeing winds whistling across the landscape, creating these incredible twisters of sand and dust which are ripping across. These are really weird weather events that I can't say I'd ever encountered before. And at last, the end is in sight. The gate is in sight for the start of the journey up Kilimanjaro. I might be heading towards familiar territory, but by no means is the journey over yet.
Through 4 countries, from the lowest point in Africa, up here to Machame Gate, thunderstorms, temperatures of 45 degrees, stone throwing, insults, police shakedowns, wild animals. What a journey it's been. And now, I've got 300 meters left to finally make it to the end of this ride. That's it. End of the road.
That was a huge weight of relief off my mind. Now it was time for the final push. But I also, in the back of my mind, knew that I couldn't be complacent. Kilimanjaro is an underestimated mountain. It's a huge mountain, almost 6,000 meters. It would be a big journey. There were no guarantees that I would make it to the summit.
All right, just about to head into day 2. Team are just getting packed up now. And day 2 is a slightly shorter day, albeit slightly steeper. So we've got about 1,000 meters to climb.
The journey up Kilimanjaro takes you through every terrain, through the jungle, through the rocky outer edges of the slopes.
Right, here we are. Shira camp.
Yes.
Sante, brother.
Kamado.
Nice.
Day 2 is done.
Day 2 is complete.
Yes.
Made it to camp. Oof, can smell the food. There's a reason I keep on coming back to Kilimanjaro, and gotta say, this is one of them. This view from Shira camp, the sunset, the singing, the clouds, the summit behind us. What a special place. So we're on the final approach now to Lava Tower, 4,650 meters. So can certainly feel the air is a little bit thinner, taking it nice and easy. Really dramatic scenery, completely different to anything we've had the last couple of days, so all a bit rockier.
As you wake up in the dead of night on summit day and you're trudging under the torchlight up the path, up the mountain, there is a moment which is always so special, which never gets old, which is never tiring. And that's when the sun finally breaches the rim of the world and it comes up and it lights up the clouds all around you, and you can see mountains off in the distance.
Well, woken up to another spectacular morning here on Kilimanjaro. Just look at these clouds and find place for a morning coffee. Open the tent doors this morning and just a sea of golden cloud down there in the valley. And the summit lit up. Just look at that. Absolutely spectacular.
You feel like you are standing on the top of a world. Everything around me has turned to gold. That is a moment I will never tire of.
Team are super strong. Not far off Stella Point now, which is essentially the crater rim. From there, it's one last easy push to the summit. All good, brother?
Yeah.
All good.
We hit a crucial point of the mountain called Stella Point. Now you're on the crater rim of this great extinct volcano that is Kilimanjaro.
Okay, so we just reached Stella Point.
All that's left is around an hour of trekking around the crater rim.
The roof of Africa is almost in the bag.
And now I'm savouring every single step. It's been almost a month-long journey to reach this point. It had been years of dreaming about it.
600 meters away.
And finally, I get there on the roof of Africa with my team. It's mission success.
Here I am on the roof of Africa after a 28-day journey from the lowest point in Africa, La Casale, Djibouti, 160 meters below sea level, all the way to the summit of Kilimanjaro, 5,895 meters above sea level. I've done it. I've made it. One long human-powered journey from the lowest point in Africa to the highest, and that is phase 1 of the Ultimate 7 project complete.
I'm elated, I'm thrilled, I'm thinking about home, I'm thinking about the success so far, but in the back of my mind, I know that this is only the beginning of the Ultimate 7 project.
Africa complete.
The North American leg of the Ultimate 7 project would be the single hardest expedition I've taken on so far. It would be the second installment of this project. It would take me from Death Valley in California all the way to Denali in Alaska. A human-powered journey of 3,588 miles, which I complete on bike, by ski and on foot to the roof of North America. This is a journey which would take me from the hottest point in North America to one of the coldest and most inhospitable. I would need to prepare like never before. After months and months of preparation, I finally landed in Las Vegas, and it's a weird place to start an expedition like this, which I know is going to be off-grid through all extremes. Now I'm in kind of the most commercialized, crazy part of America. And I remember building my bike, I'd sent it over. I found myself sitting looking at this thing for a few long minutes in the hotel room and feeling the weight of it, 50-kilogram bike. And I sat there and the minutes ticked by, and I found myself in this place of inertia where all I needed to do was open that door and step out and begin the journey. And it took a long, long while to convince myself to stand up, open that door and push that bike through the door. It felt like quite a poignant moment. And then I get some transport over to the start line.
I'm standing in Badwater Basin in Death Valley. This is the lowest point in North America. From here, I will journey 3,500 miles north to Alaska, to my end point of Denali.
And so then I got on my bike and started pedaling north. That was the start of the journey. So I left behind Death Valley, and now it feels like I'm in the Wild West. I'm going through old abandoned gold mining towns where you've got old wooden saloons and beat up old trains rusted out in the desert. Now the distances between towns are 50, 60, 70, 80 miles. And I remember a few days in, now I'm in the Sierra Nevada mountains, great big snow-capped mountains either side of me. I'm cycling into these really strong headwinds, and suddenly I'm really feeling it. My body is suffering big time. My muscles are all aching. I'm taking painkillers to sleep at night. I know also it's 10 weeks until I'm going to see my family again. I'm already thinking about home.
It's been a tough day. Been feeling a little bit low. It's Easter Saturday, so all I can think about is tomorrow I'll be waking up and doing a Easter egg hunt with my 2 young children, and I'm out here pedaling away and finding it really quite tough and quite remote. So yeah, it's been a tough day. Days like this happen, so I'm gonna rest up, go again tomorrow, see if it's a brighter day.
I know that it's 6 weeks until my teammates are flying out and that I need to be pushing hard, but also I'm already falling behind schedule. So even just a few days into this expedition, with all this weight of the sponsors and the press and the media attention and everybody in the world I've told I'm going to do this expedition, now I'm having real doubts. Am I actually able to do this thing?
I've just got my first puncture of the trip. What fun.
And there was one day when I'm approaching northern part of Nevada, and so I start to study maps and I start to study the wind direction, and I learned that the wind is actually coming slightly more from the west and the northwest, and my route was going to take me into the remote central part of Oregon. And I decided to make a big decision.
I've got a junction, and over to the left where I was going to go, that takes you into central Oregon. What I've decided to do is to head right and head east towards Idaho. It's a marginally longer route, but it should mean that the wind is more on my back than in my face, and I'm just so ready to be done with battling this wind, because it is all-consuming, exhausting, mentally straining, and so I am done with the wind. I need to just escape it.
And it's a risk, because now if I turn east towards Idaho, I'm going to be extending my route by dozens of miles. But I need to get out of the wind, and so I make that call to head east into Idaho to extend my journey, which I'm already falling behind on, just to get out of the wind. It was a big decision and a big gamble, but in the days that followed, I think it paid off.
There's no wind whatsoever. I've been waiting for this for like 9 days now. It was the right decision. Even though it's a longer route, I've no doubt it's going to pay dividends and make my life easier for the next few days at least. Onwards into Idaho.
After 2 weeks of cycling, at last I'm reaching the Canadian border, and the euphoria I begin to feel. Having had such a rough time in Nevada, I took the big decision to cut east into Idaho. I made really good headway. I battled through mountain blizzards in Oregon to push north through Washington and towards the border.
Yesterday it was 25 degrees, and now this. I'm currently in a little derelict porch in an old cabin. So it's just somewhere I can stand amongst all this crap and just get a couple of extra layers on.
And that final day, I really laid down the hammer. I did a huge day to reach the Canadian border.
Well, change of plan. I'm going for the Canadian border tonight. I was still feeling good. I felt I had a few miles left in the bag, so I'm going for it. Look at the night sky. There's been some tough times. There's been some very tough moments. There's been some times where, you know, I've even questioned whether this whole expedition is possible. But now, as I approach the border and this big milestone, I'm feeling a fresh wave of confidence, and I'm excited for what lies ahead. Onwards to Canada. Woo!
It was an amazing sense of satisfaction, of pride, of okay, maybe I can do this. I'd spent the last 2 weeks stuck in my head, having all these doubts, having all these worries, wondering if it's possible. Now I've made it to the Canadian border. That is the first big milestone.
It's day 14 of my Death Valley to Denali expedition, and I made it to Canada. Yay! There we go, 14 days, over 1,000 miles covered, and this feels like the first big milestone on the journey. Amazing. Onwards.
I remember getting to that border post late in the evening. I got stamped through into Canada. I stood by the sign, and it felt like a huge success on this journey so far. In the days that followed, I entered another world. Now the mountains are starting to get bigger. Now the scenery is getting more incredible. I'm starting to see wildlife. This is what adventure is all about, and I am loving it.
effects of a long day on the bike. With sunsets like this. Oh, how good is that?
This was an expedition driven by curiosity. I want to go out there, have the adventure of a lifetime, see what's out there. One of the huge parts of that in North America was the wildlife. I'm now cycling as I enter northern British Columbia through the Serengeti of the North, as they call it. So it was a real privilege now to be cycling amongst bison, moose, black bears, brown bears, mountain lions, wolves, and having them all on the roadside. As I'm going through, I'm starting to see this wildlife. And I remember seeing my first moose on the roadside. Wow, this huge animal. But actually, we just sort of looked at each other for a few seconds, and it was this really special moment. And then it turned its head and carried on into the forest. And then I entered bison territory. These incredible animals, huge, muscular, bulky, built for the coldest temperatures that British Columbia can throw at them.
Welcome to Canadian rush hour.
The big animal that is on my mind, of course, is bears. Here in the UK, we have squirrels, foxes, hedgehogs, badgers. In North America, I would now be cycling through prime grizzly bear territory. I've seen all kinds of little creatures scurrying through the bushes. I'm definitely on bear watch right now. So I've got my bear spray. Just at the time when they're coming out of hibernation and feeling peckish. In the months building up to this ride, I was really feeling stressed and anxious about the possibility of encountering a bear out on these roads. I would be cycling on my own. I have no support vehicles, I have nobody around me, there's no civilization, nowhere to hide. My only form of defense is a small can of bear spray, which is only effective from 3 meters.
Bear spray, just in case.
There was one day in the Yukon, I'd been badly ill overnight with food poisoning, spent all night being sick. I'm feeling terrible, but I need to push on towards the Alaskan border. And I get up in the morning, I get on the bike, feeling low on energy, depleted, but knowing that there are lots of bears ahead in the country. And now I'm starting to hear stories from other travelers. And as the morning passes by, I see a shape out on a frozen lake to my left-hand side, and it's moving towards me. And it very soon proves to be a huge grizzly, and it's got a fish in its mouth, and it's staring at me across the ice, no more than 50 meters away. I'm cycling as slowly as I possibly can, and I film this animal as it watches me cycling by, knowing that if it was to chase me, that animal can reach 35 miles an hour and I wouldn't stand a chance.
So I did put a bit of a spurt on, just to get away from the lake, but my first grizzly bear sighting. Wow.
I eventually get behind a tree line and can go on, but things were about to get more intense. As I head north into Yukon, now approaching the Alaskan border, I cycle within 4 meters of a huge black bear sitting on the roadside.
There's a bear right there. Big black bear.
I remember coming up along this corner, this bend in the road, and I can see this big dark shape off the roadside and feel these big eyes bearing into me as I curve past this animal. And this thing which I'd had in my mind for so many months, which had caused me so much anxiety, now I'm looking at it in the eye. And actually there's no fear anymore. I see this incredible creature.
Sure enough, great big black bear staring right at me, snuffling through the undergrowth. Wow. First a grizzly, then a big black bear.
And that is a moment where I just think, wow, what an adventure. This is exactly what I'm here for. Finally, I reached Alaska. Now I've been on the bike for over 5 weeks, pedaling like never before, really, really hard, big days. I know that the end of the ride is in sight, but I cannot let off the gas. My team are flying in less than a week and I need to keep on pushing. The seasons are also closing in. If I don't get to the end of the ride in time, all of the snow will have melted off the lower part of the mountain. It will be impossible for us to reach base camp by ski, by human power. Finally, I'm on the last ride towards the base of the mountain. And I remember getting up there. I'd already done over 100 miles. Now I had one last track to take me up to the base of Denali.
I'm right now on my way to the end of the ride.
In a sort of celebration, I stripped off the bags from the back of the bike and I left them at the base of the trail, knowing I'd need to retrace my steps. And I cycled up that hill, now feeling full of energy, feeling filled with adrenaline. I'm getting near to the end, and eventually I hit the snow line, and that marks the end of the ride, the end of 3,500 miles cycle from Death Valley to the base of Denali. But I know, in the back of my mind, as I celebrated, holding my bike over my head, that this is just the beginning. Now things are about to get really hard. Once I finished the ride, everything changed. After a long stretch of my own thoughts in my own head on the bike, now I've got my team around me. This amazing team of world-class mountain individuals who I'd spent months building and bringing together. Now we're all together. We finalise our kit preparation, get everything we need, and now it's time for the real adventure to begin.
We are just making the final arrangements with our sleds, packs, and then we'll be ready to go. It is time to begin the mountain phase.
The first stage of our journey would take us from the trailhead to base camp. This is a journey that nobody does. My best source of information about this journey to base camp was from a guy who did it 20 years ago. In this Alaskan wilderness, everything can change in that time span. So now we were stepping out into the unknown. We gathered every bit of information we could find. We thought we had enough kit. Now it was time to find out. So we got on the skis, we had the sleds loaded. We're heading up into total Alaskan wilderness. From here, it would be 8 days until we saw another human. We get up into the mountains. Now the mountains are getting bigger around us. We have to go downhill and the sleds are barreling past us. It's almost farcical to try and make progress. But now we're starting to face some real challenges. We've got 35 kilogram sleds attached to us, big heavy rucksacks on our backs. We're trying to hack and whack our way through trees and bushes which are catching on every wire, which are snagging on our clothes, which are pulling us down. The snow is melting below our feet.
The water's absolutely freezing. How was it, Ryan?
There is no path out here. There is no way. We're forging a path through this total Alaskan wilderness.
Just come across some bear prints about 50 yards from camp.
There are grizzly bear prints 20 meters from our tent. There are pools of melting snow. There are rocks that we need to navigate through. Our pace, which until then had been pretty good, now slows to just a couple of miles a day, and that feels like our absolute maximum effort. And there were moments in that day when we needed to look at ourselves as a team and really rally each other, because it would be so easy to give up at that moment in time. Everything was staring into our faces, telling us there was no way past. We had to find our own way, and we had to embrace this cheerfulness in the face of adversity. We had to keep on pushing. Finally, we reached the glacier. We staked our tent in the ground. Now we had a big icy runway, which would take us over the next few days all the way to base camp. Once we reached base camp, everything had to change. We had been pushing harder than ever before to reach that place, Now speed would not be our friend, it would be our enemy. Now we needed to slow down the pace. As we ascended the mountain and the altitude got higher, the oxygen levels got less. We cannot be pushing at the same pace we were pushing at. We'd had this period of really getting to know each other as a team now. Now we had to put it to the test. We're now about to go and climb the coldest, windiest mountain on Earth. A mountain which the previous season only 30% of climbers had succeeded in summiting. We can have no complacency now. We know we really need to be dialed in. We start speaking to other climbers at base camp, learning what's happening on the mountain, what are the weather conditions we need to be aware of, where are the hidden crevasses we should know about. As you can see, it's quite tricky. There's lots of lumps and bumps, crevasses to be mindful of. If we leave one stone unturned, it could have fatal consequences for us all. So as we go up the mountain, we're feeling empowered as a team, but we cannot take our eye off the ball. Now it's game time, now it really matters. All out those months of preparation are now going to be decided upon. Have we done enough? Have we left any stones unturned? Are there any reasons why we can't make it to the summit? Now we're about to find out. We'll be following this glacier for about the next 50 kilometers all the way to base camp. It is a huge, enormous glacier. It's the biggest glacier in North America. Of course, we're focused on the summit, but I find myself in moments when I reflect where I would just feel so privileged to be there in that place, in the mountains, surrounded by the majesty of it all, with glaciers tumbling down from the mountains, with avalanches tumbling down and the sounds of the mountain. With no sounds of wildlife or humans or planes overhead. We're in total Alaskan wilderness now. This is what I've built this career towards, is being here in wild places with my team, doing hard things. It's in those moments that are really special. It's in those moments where you can sit and where you can stop and you can look around and you can just think how lucky we are, how special the world is. So we go on up the mountain, moving progressively through the camps. With every camp, the weather's getting colder, the altitude's getting higher. The terrain is getting more consequential, more dangerous. As we reach the final camp, we just sat out a 6-day storm. We were stuck in the tent for 6 days, being buried by snow, building snow walls, hearing terrible stories of incidents higher up the mountain. We have 1 day left to make it to the summit. There is a break in the weather and we decide to go for it. Now we cannot leave anything to chance. Now it's freezing. We get up in the morning, it's almost -30. We get into every layer we have. This is the stuff that's going to stay behind at base camp. A few extra days of food and surplus kit. So it's about 5 duffels. We leave behind the tent. This is our sanctuary. Now we're leaving it behind. Every step counts now. Every step matters. As we finally approach the summit, we are pushing like never before. We are on the red line. Every effort is really draining of us of energy. Finally, we reach the final ridge line, which will take us to the summit. On either side, you can see this vast drop dropping away towards nothingness below us. So we're now on to the last push. About 150, 200 meters of climbing up onto the Denali Summit Ridge.
Bloody freezing.
We'll be on the top of North America. This is an expedition which I've been dreaming about for 10 years, which I've been planning towards for 18 months, which I've been striving towards for 64 days. 100 meters from the summit was the first moment that I allowed myself to believe that we were going to make it, that we were going to stand on the roof of North America.
This is what it's all about. I've just arrived on the summit of Denali to complete my 3,500 mile journey.
And finally we stood there, we made it up to the summit with my teammates, we embraced as a team, we took in the views around us. And I remember as I was standing there reflecting on the journey and my inspiration and doing it to try and inspire my children and all of the doubts and all of the fears and all of the worries and all of the million and one things that could have gone wrong, I just felt this deep sense of pride, of satisfaction.
I tell you, as I stand here on the roof of North America, it's all worth it.
There were so many ways this expedition might not have succeeded, but it absolutely needed to. This ultimately is just one part of my project which will take me across the entire globe, the Ultimate 7. And if I could not succeed at the Death Valley to Denali leg in North America, what hope would I have of doing those other continents? When I stood on the summit, I remember feeling empowered. I felt this deep empowerment that maybe this lifelong, bold, ambitious dream, which so many people have told me is impossible, maybe it's possible. Now I'm 2 stages through. There's so far left to go with this challenge. But just for once, I'm feeling this edge of encouragement, one step closer now to completing this lifelong dream.
It. Woo! Laguna del Carbon. The lowest point in South America, the lowest point in the Western Hemisphere, and the start of my next expedition. From here, I'll journey 1,600 miles north to Aconcagua by bike, unsupported. Then I'll meet my climbing partner Mike. We'll continue on foot to the highest peak in South America. The journey begins. All the places to get a puncture, there's not a good one. Still about 7 or 8 miles from the road on this very slow uphill track, running low on water. The back tire's just gone. Not ideal. Right, I'm just gonna have to deal with this as soon as I possibly can and get on the road. I am beyond parched right now. Got this on shielding my head from the sun, as you can see. I'm down to about 300 ml of water. Trying to conserve it as best I can. I've got this hill to go and climb on the bike, and already really dehydrated. I need to get to the road, and then I'm going to have to flag a car down and get some water. Hola, señor. Oh, muchas gracias. Muchas gracias. What a legend. I was up there with one of the toughest days I've had on a bike. I'm absolutely done. Absolutely done. So lucky that that guy pulled over and gave me water.
I wanted to get out of this hot, dry, arid landscape. It was beating me down and sucking all of my energy out of me, all of the moisture out of me. It's so dry, so arid. When the wind is in your face, it's drying out your mouth and your tongue. I was drinking a litre of water every half an hour, and still it didn't feel enough. So the wind is the biggest challenge weather-wise here. Patagonia is one of the windiest places on Earth. And so if you've got a headwind, which I have today, a slight headwind, progress is really hard, really slow. So I'm into day 3 now of the expedition. Cycling north, making decent progress. And the landscape is really all quite similar so far. It's relatively flat, wide open plains,
long straight roads.
So I'm now rolling into the town of Fitzroy, having covered over 80 miles today. Quite tough going with headwinds at times. The legs are feeling it, the neck is feeling strained weirdly. Good progress today. Tomorrow, all going well, I'll hit the coast, continue north from there.
It would have been amazing to have a rest day. Fortunately, much of it was downhill, but I still needed to get back on the bike and keep on moving.
So I've just reached the Atlantic coast. The winds are really picking up, but I've just seen some seals. Pretty cool.
I've never had such a close seal encounter. Just behind me there.
There it is. How cool is that? It's going to be hard work from here. I've got over 50 miles to go and the winds are going to get stronger and stronger by the hour, reaching up to 50 miles an hour. So I've never cycled in winds like that, and they're crosswinds, which means navigating the bike is going to get really hard. It's going to be interesting.
I'm cycling into these really strong headwinds, and suddenly I'm really feeling it. My body is suffering big time.
Okay, turning off the road. Let's hope it turns out to be a good decision. Well, since turning onto this road, I've not seen a single car onto this dirt track. And it's pure gravel and dust, very deeply rutted. Progress is particularly fast. I've maybe travelled almost 20 miles on this road. I've got to say another 30, 35 to go.
Finally seeing my first armadillo. Pretty cool. Always wanted to see one of those. Quite fast actually. I had to run to catch up with him. Off he goes anyway, hopefully. I'll stay away from this busy road. Wildlife spotting, snake on the roadside.
And after over 2 weeks of hard cycling, I've finally reached the edge of the Andes mountain. And then it's time for the climb. Ooh, what a journey it's been. I'm now into the last few miles of my ride, and I should have known that Argentina wouldn't let me off so easily, let me finish it so easily. There is unbelievably strong headwind barreling through this valley. As I approach almost 3,000 meters in altitude, the air is thinning, the wind is intense, the heat is hot. But I'm into the last push now, just a few miles to go, and then the bike leg will be complete. I am entering the mountains. Look at this big mountain road behind me. Steep, hot, windy climb to get up to the first spot in the mountains where I'm going to stay tonight. Made it.
I remember thinking to myself, wow, the journey is only just beginning. Now we've got to get ourselves through everything we can see in the foreground just to have a shot at climbing this mountain. And it is quite scary when we set eyes on it for the very first time. But all we had to do really was to begin that journey and try and break it down into individual days. This was the ultimate test, a mountain which the previous season only 30% of climbers had succeeded in summiting. We can have no complacency now. We know we really need to be dialed in.
Here I am at the trailhead of Aconcagua. This is as far as I can go by bike. I'm almost at 3,000 meters now. Behind me, the trailhead 18 days of hard cycling to get here by human power from the lowest point, and next it is time to start the mountain climb. Whew. What a ride. Now it's time for the climb to begin. Ready? Let's go.
Day 2 of the trek, day 23 of my expedition, and we're reaching almost 4,400 meters today, up at the right at the base of Aconcagua. So it's a fast ascent to get up here, heavy packs, about 22 kilos on our backs. Just been taking it nice and slow, lots of water, lots of breaks. Seen the mules racing past me, they're taking some of our gear up to Plaza de Mulas. This is the main base camp for Aconcagua, apparently the second biggest mountain base camp in the world. Today is a rest acclimatization day. We're up at almost 4,400 meters. It's time to let our bodies prepare and also prepare our kit. So behind us we've got all of our food, all of our summit gear. So all is well, we're both feeling good. We need to get ourselves sorted and enjoy a bit of time in the sun.
Hurricane force winds, heavy snowfall, freezing temperatures. We needed a shelter which was really going to protect us in the worst conditions imaginable.
So last night was a pretty rough night here at camp at Nido de Condores, Camp 2. Very, very windy. Wind's probably reaching 50 miles an hour. So it was a pretty sleepless night. Lots of tossing and turning. And ideal for moving up to Camp 3. All going well. We're going to push on towards the summit tomorrow. Thin air, about 5,000 meters there. So today we're doing a load carry and then we'll come back down to Camp Canada tonight. So heavy loads once again, very, very slow pace, taking it easy.
We know we really need to be dialed in. We start speaking to other climbers at base camp, learning what's happening on the mountain. What are the weather conditions we need to be aware of? What other information can we gather at this point in time to make this expedition possible? If we leave one stone unturned, it could have fatal consequences for us all.
Day 34 of journey from Laguna del Carbon to the summit of Aconcagua. Sun is rising. We've made an early start. Cold, it's about -10, not super cold, but certainly noticeable. Both feeling really good, well hydrated, had a good rest yesterday. Feeling happy, confident, looking forward to the climb ahead.
Now it's game time, now it really matters. All out those months of preparation are now going to be decided upon. Have we done enough? Have we left any stones unturned? Are there any reasons why we can't make it to the summit?
Walking into a strong headwind up this traverse, it really takes your breath away, especially as we approach 6,500 meters. Every 20 meters or so, you've got to turn around and catch your breath. Aconcagua is not done with us yet.
The weather's getting colder, the altitude's getting higher, the terrain is getting more consequential, more dangerous.
Sun's coming up now. Let's look at those views.
Every step counts now, every step matters.
On this last approach up to the summit, we can see it now at last. Just up there, you can see a few of the climbers just behind me.
brutal climb, almost 7,000 meters. I can certainly see why this is a highly underestimated mountain with a success rate of 30 or 40%. It is a real killer. A few steps at a time. Slowly, poly as they say in Tanzania.
As we finally approach the summit, we are pushing like never before. We are on the red line. Every effort is really draining of us of energy. We can really feel the lack of oxygen. Galvanized ourselves for one last push. And finally, we stood there. We made it up to the summit with my teammates. We embraced as a team. We took in the views around us. We all shed a few tears of joy and happiness as we stood there, knowing that we'd succeeded as a team, we'd reached this vision.
I am standing at the summit of Aconcagua, the highest point in South America. 34 days ago, I left behind Laguna del Carbon, the lowest point in the continent. I have journeyed for 34 days to get here entirely by human power, cycling through extreme heat, blustering winds, now climbing what is known as one of the windiest and often coldest mountains on planet Earth. This journey was never in the bag. We had to push exceptionally hard. I've done a lot of hard things over the years. Ultramarathons, climbing Denali, big solo expeditions all around the world. This summit day was right up there and we had to dig deep, Mike and I can't imagine doing it with somebody better. He was by my side, we motivated each other, we got through it. And now that I stand here 34 days after completing this journey, after starting this journey, that is leg 3 of the Ultimate 7 project, now complete. What was once a dream for 10 long years is starting day by day to feel even more real. What a journey it has been so far. So much more to come.
I just felt this deep sense of pride, of satisfaction, of knowing that we as humans are explorers, that we are curious, courageous beings. Often that's hidden from us, but if we can tap into that as individuals, as a team, we can really achieve extraordinary things.